for us retirees to be represented in the court? Is that possible today?
I apologize, we don't have the list with us. We will have the list available tomorrow at the retirement fund, or if you could tell us where to deliver it to you, we could do that as well. Or even if you have an email, we can email you a copy.
Also, my last question for you is, if you don't mind. You said there is a law in the legislature for them to pass for the health pension and the insurance pension. I would like to ask both Congressman Guerrero and Congressman Sablan if it's possible for them to help all the retirees in here in getting that bill passed through for our situation right now, to have the government pay for our health and life insurance. Thank you.
We have a person in the lobby that I couldn't get. She didn't want to ask the question herself, but she says her question is, she's an active employee. She's wondering if she has to continue making contributions while this bankruptcy is in place.
The fund continues to operate as it did before the Chapter 11 filing. So yes, contributions from the government that we're trying to effect, contributions from the employees that we want, that will come in. And those amounts will be added to the body of the trust. And our goal here is to prolong for the active employees the existence of the trust. So the money they pay in today, it gives them something in the future. Right now, unless they're going to retire in the next 2 years, they're looking at getting perhaps nothing out of the fund. So what we want to do is have the fund be there for them, for everyone else that's an active employee. The idea here is to have something for you at the end of the day.
Okay, I have back to the trustees. The thing is, not everybody has access to the internet. So make it easy. Why don't you just publicize it through the media? Put it out in the paper. Everybody can see, and everybody can call each other, but they're going to know who that person is.
And also, can we get a listing of what are the outstanding debts to the retirement fund? I mean, you know, list them down. I mean, we know for a fact that the government owes about $300 million. I mean, so can you guys list down who owes the fund what amount, and how much is this gonna amount to? Because all we hear now is the government owes $300 million. But what about, are there any other debts to the retirement fund from anybody else? I mean, you know, this is the type of thing that as retirees, we really need to know what's going on. And also expenditures. We need to know how much is the fund spending on you know, a lot of things.
I believe you were at the public hearing sponsored by the Senate on retirement fund issues. There was a PowerPoint presentation put on by the retirement fund, and part of that was all the costs for the retirement fund, as well as things that were coming in and things that were going out. That's public record. We're glad to share that with you.
Maybe that's only a bulk figure.
No, it's not a bulk figure. It's itemized.
Now?
It is itemized. It lists everything that's owed to the fund and everything that the fund pays out. It tells you how many beneficiaries there are. It breaks it down to pensioners, disability, spouses. So it's very itemized.
What about debts from others, like companies or consultants or whatever? I mean, can you break all those things down?
Those are broken down as well. As far as expenses are concerned.
What about litigation?
I'm sorry, what about litigation?
I don't know. Recently I read something about somebody, there was a lawsuit about some software vendors.
That's in litigation, yes.
Yeah, so
That's
is that included in that amount?
No, that's not included. That's part of the litigation. But we're glad to share the list with you.
My name is Becky Cruz. I'm retiree. I am very concerned. Like I said, and that's why I'm here tonight. First of all, you folks need to be honest to us. We are human beings. We are people. We have lives. We have children, we have families, we have loans, we have bills, etc., etc. This wasn't done just today. This has been planned. We need to know whose idea was this, and why were, like you said, why were we not consulted? We are a part of this. Why the hell are we just pushing aside and a bunch of people decided to do and just say, let's do this? This is another tactic, of course, that our pension, because they keep saying the reason to prolong the fund is, that the benefits have to be cut. Leave my damn money alone. I work hard for that. 22 years of my life, every payday I contributed, okay? So I expect to be receiving the money until the good Lord takes me. But again, you people need to be considerate. You cannot just do something that affects people's life. We're not talking, again, like I said, 100 people. We're talking about 3,000 retirees plus their families. Imagine the couples there, an older couple over 60s or 70s that depends on this income. Barely maybe $200 you're talking about every 15 days. For God's sake, have a heart. Be honest and stop doing things behind our freaking back. Because again, we are human beings. Don't just shove us on the side and come 2 months later and say, whoops, sorry, there's nothing for you guys. This is it. This is the bankruptcy. You just have to go and figure it out yourself. Hell no. And I hope the retirees will better wake up and their families and not just stand around and like we used to and just let other people run our lives. No more. People, wake up. This is your life. This is our life. It's your hard-earned money, blood, sweat, and tears. Do something. Open your eyes, open your ears, open your mouth. Don't judge. Like I said, you toss them aside like a freaking trash. Because we're not. We're human beings. We have to say so also. So start being honest to us and start telling us what the hell is going on, because there's a lot that are things that we need to know that are being unanswered. We just keep getting answers around and around, not being answered directly. And I think that the question that we're concerned right now is really, after the 2 months, yes, you set aside 2 months salary, thank you very much. But after that, what? Please, you folks need to be honest, and you need to be straightforward to us, and start treating us like a human being. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cruz. If I may address your question, your concerns. I've been with the Retirement Fund Board of Trustees for over 5 years. Throughout those 5 years, every year we have what's called an annual meeting. Before, what used to happen was the Board of Trustees used to travel to the U.S. to various different locations to meet with the 10 money managers and investment consultants. In order to cut down the costs, the board changed the policy to make those people come here and meet with them here. In meeting in the CNMI, what we always do, when they come for the annual meetings, and we make sure that we have 2 days, we have the money managers as well as the investment consultant meet together first. As soon as they deliver the message on the status of the retirement fund, we always set up a meeting with the legislature. After a meeting with the legislature, we set up a meeting with the governor's office. After the governor's office, we always set up a meeting at the multi-purpose center. In previous years, it used to warmed my heart when there was 10 people that showed up. And in all those years, it was the same message. Yes, we have $500 million now, but we have $1 billion liability. And if we don't increase the money coming in, regardless of whether we want to or not, people are going to continue to retire. And when they continue to retire, the money you pay out will continue to go up. As this is going up, the money coming in was going down. The consultants screamed for years, we must change this. We need to change this. The Board of Trustees went to the legislature as well as the executive branch. Please help us. We'll write the bills for you. We'll tell you where to stop the plugs. To allow retirees to adopt their children, that's costing us X number of dollars. To do this, it's costing us X number of dollars. We did that. This is nothing new. This is not something that happened 2 months ago. I apologize. I feel your pain. But I have to admit, this is the most retirees I've seen in one sitting. And when we put out public notices, even though it costs money, we put it out in both the Cyber Tribune and Miranda Variety, and we asked the media to run free ads for us. We're in this with you. You must understand that. Chapter 11 did not happen overnight. Look at the Board of Trustees meetings going back. Litigation strategy. The board had to figure out, what are we going to do? We're running out of options. It's no different than a message. Congressman Sablan, you were sitting in the governor's conference room 2 years ago when we said we have 5 years left, and you told me, what? I'm getting scared. I almost cried when I looked at you and said, thank you. Please get scared with us. It's here, it's now. The retirement fund has been screaming. Every board meeting, there is an agenda that is published in the media. We pay for it, but we publish it. We try to list down everything that happens. But the only thing we ever hear from people is, why are you getting sued again? Why do you have so many attorneys? Poor Richard, he actually has a term for it. It's called demand-driven. If I don't get sued, I don't need attorneys. But as long as I'm getting sued, he's not protecting himself. When the retirement fund gets sued, they're not trying to get Richard's car. They're trying to get to the money that's paying your pension. It's called deep pockets. You think those attorneys out there care that $250 million is only going to last until July 2014? They're trying to figure out, how do I get a piece of that $250 million for me? They don't realize that it's supposed to go to 3,000 people. And those 3,000 people support their kids and their grandkids. The Board of Trustees is not your enemy. Chapter 11 did not happen overnight. Look at the board agenda. The board tasked their attorneys to look at the different legal remedies that were available to them. They figured, okay, we have a judgment. Our court has already said, hey, you are owed $317 million. So they said, go get it. Go get every last bit of money that you can. There is a house owned by the CNMI government sitting in Washington, D.C., empty. So we asked the court, give us that property. Even though we get $1 million, it's $1 million less than we didn't have. And the AG's office fights us. They file a writ of prohibition in the Supreme Court. That's just more fighting. And the Board of Trustees realized, you know what? $1 million doesn't even cover one pension payment. We're fighting for peanuts. The big picture here is we're going broke. So they tasked us to look at the difference between receivership in local court and in federal court. The biggest problem with receivership in local court is there's a lack of guidance. There is nothing in the rules that says if you're a pension program and you owe this much money, you owe this much, many people this much money, this is what you do. In federal court, it's no different. But in bankruptcy, Chapter 11, restructuring. Chapter 11, restructuring. I understand when you hear the word bankruptcy, you're thinking, I don't have any more money. You still have a little bit left. And what the board decided to do when you went with Chapter 11 was they wanted to preserve what little you had to extend it. Yes, that's important. What little you have so we can extend it. But you know what's more important than that? How many of you guys are willing to go up there and scream and say, can we still afford to pay for Little League? Because just 2 weeks ago, the Chaplain local delegation passed a budget. Or an appropriation, I'm not sure what it's called. Did anybody bother to look how many $10,000 was given to this and that pet project? I'm not saying don't help our kids. I'm saying we're in dire straits. We are hurting. Can we still afford to give out millions of dollars in scholarships? I would love to send my child to school too. But if I can't send him off island, then maybe I should consider NMC. So I can keep the money here. If all you're making is $200 a month, and your expenses are $500, what are you going to do? Continue to have cable television? Continue to have a membership at Gold's Gym? It's not the luxury anymore that this community once knew when the money was spilling over. The problem wasn't created overnight. Don't blame the 17th legislature. Don't blame the 16th. You know what? The problem goes all the way back to 1999 when the government first failed to make the payment to the retirement fund.
But I think one of the things we're really concerned about was why weren't we told about this 3 hours ago? Why did it have to do so much at the last moment?
Besides, we apply for the Open Government Act for all our meetings.
No, but this particular, this particular one.
Yes. We comply with the Open Government Act, even with the Chapter 11 filing.
Thank you, I didn't know that. Yes, one question?